Great. Great. So when I start introducing both of you, I'll read your names and we'll go in alphabetical order by last name. When I call your name, you can feel free to mute yourself for each question or mute yourself, or if you're in a quiet setting during the questions, you won't have to mute, but just make sure you're muting yourself if the other person is speaking. So Judy Sternberg is going to hold up a yellow card when you have 15 seconds left. She's going to hold up a red card when your time is up. Grant, I know you're on your phone. Can you see us though?
No, I can't see you. I can only hear.
Okay, yeah. That's no problem. I'll give you a 15 second 15 seconds left and just add and let you know that your time is up. We're gonna jump right into this. We've got quite a few questions. So the League of Women Voters has prepared questions to ask the candidates, but we like to get questions from all of you who are watching live on the webinar. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask both candidates and you'd like them to answer, please put them in the Q&A that you'll find at the bottom of the screen. So please make sure you put them in the Q&A. All questions will be asked to both candidates. So now it's time to introduce our candidates who will be speaking today. We have Grant Malone and John Perticone. Our timekeeper this evening is Judy Sternberg. She will hold up cards to let the candidates know how much time they have left and when their time is up. I'll also assist and let the candidates know when their time is ending and when their time is up. The first candidate is going to answer a question and they will have 1.5 minutes to answer that question. The second individual will have 1 minute to answer the question, and we'll go back and forth with both Grant and John on each question. So to kick us off, each candidate will have 2 minutes. We'll have 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm a little off beat. So they have 1 minute for opening remarks and 2 minutes for closing remarks. So we'll start. We'll start with first Grant. You have 1 minute for opening remarks. I'll turn the floor over to you.
All right. Good evening. For those that don't know me, my name is Grant Malone. I am currently the president of the Rochester Building Trades Council, and I represent the Operating Engineers Union Hall here in Rochester, New York, 158. I'm a military veteran, and I am obviously a heavy equipment operator by trade, and now I run the Union Hall here. I recently moved to Irondequoit 10 years ago, and I guess for the point of the conversation, with my background, I think I can offer maybe or enhance some of the perspectives of Irondequoit so I can better the community. And when I say that, again, with possibly some economic development opportunities and some workforce development opportunities, along with possibly enhancing some of the services for some of the taxpayers. I feel strong about community, families. I have a very large family, and the majority of them live here in the Rochester area. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Malone. Mr. Perticone, you have 1 minute. Go right ahead with your opening statement.
Okay, I am a lifelong resident of Irondequoit. I have served on the town board since 2008, and I've been the deputy supervisor since 2014. I have served under multiple administrations at Town Hall. And when some of the sitting supervisors had left to go and do other things, I graciously stepped up to seamlessly lead our community and very proud to be working on behalf of the residents. This year I am running I'm running for re-election on the Democratic, Republican, and Conservative lines. This broad and diverse support, I feel, is a reflection of the way I've always viewed my job as a councilman. You get results by working with others. And like Grant, my history is in the labor. I was a business manager to Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 13. I've been a member there for 44 years. And also I was the vice president and
15 seconds left.
And I was the vice president and president of the Rochester Building Trades as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Perticone. Appreciate it. Mr. Malone, we're going to start with you with the first question. So can you talk
Okay.
to us a bit about what should be the town's priorities as we move forward in 2024 and throughout your term, if elected?
That's a great question. I think there's more than one. I think that safety should be at the top of the list with the environment that we're in. And when I say that, I mean we should be supporting and can continue to support our law enforcement here in Irondequoit so everybody can feel safe. I think education isn't a priority for our young people because they're the future of not just Irondequoit, but our country. And I'm going to say some other priorities should, again, economic development. Let's see if we can bring some businesses to Irondequoit. We can enhance the tax base and enhance the environment here for all the Irondequoit residents. Again, I mentioned the school system obviously is a strong driver here in Irondequoit with both our East and Irondequoit West school systems here. Definitely would want to support them also. I'm trying to think, on top of that, what about thinking about elderly, senior living facilities for our elderly people? I definitely support that in what I do today, and I want to enhance that in town of Irondequoit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Perticone, the same question to you. If you're reelected, what should be the town's priorities as we move forward in the future?
Well, like Grant, I mean, my top priority has never really changed. It's always been public safety, quality of life, and progress in our town. We'd like to keep our elderly in town. Irondequoit is a town for a lifetime, and those are our priorities too. We have to take care of our elderly, try to keep them in their homes. We try to do some grants for them so they can maintain their homes without spending a lot of money. But yeah, definitely priorities will always be public safety, the quality of life, and progress in our town, and continue that.
Thank you both. Mr. Perticone, we're going to stay with you, and we're just going to stay for a second on the issue. So can you talk a bit about how will you work specifically to improve public safety and community policing in Irondequoit?
Well, the thing is, you got to make sure your police department is, you have to have a number of the right police officers. Our numbers are increasing. We just graduated 3 from the academy. They just came out. They did their FTO. They're on the road now, and we're putting 2 more in the academy in December. And we have some transfers coming in. We'd like to keep the numbers around 55, 56. And again, you got to make sure that they have the tools to run the department and do their job correctly. They do about 50 to 60,000 calls a year, our Irondequoit Police Department. So you hope when you have some retirements, then you're able to bring up our transfers or get some new recruits in there. But we're always looking for police officers, and we go to the academy. It's nice you start them, and they learn the way the Irondequoit Police Department is. We just brought a new police chief on, Scott Peters. He's great. He's been really good with us, and he's a cop's cop. And I think he's going to make sure our community is safe at all times. And we are going to start a K9 unit. We're not sure how many dogs we're going to have at first, but it's something Irondequoit hasn't had in a long time. So priorities, public safety is number 1 in our community.
Thank you so much. Mr. Malone, same question to you. How will you work to improve public safety and community policing in Irondequoit?
That's a great question, and I wish I had the background that John does as far as what on Irondequoit, where they are and what they've done. But I agree that, it's about giving our officers here the tools to keep us safe. Does that mean the latest and greatest technology? Absolutely. I like John's comment about the K9. That's definitely needed in today, and I agree with that. But again, getting the right people in Irondequoit that care about Irondequoit, that want to live here, want to support us to keep us safe, and enhancing the younger workforce to become young officers. So we've got the right staffing to do the job here so we can all feel safe at night.
Thank you both. I appreciate that question. I appreciate the answers to both of those. So one of the things I want to move to, and one of the questions that we had come in, so it's not possible to always anticipate every issue that's going to arise over your next few years if you are elected. So can you talk about what principles and values you'll use when making decisions regardless of what the issue is. Mr. Malone, let's start with you.
Okay, I think that's a great question. I think as a public servant, there's times that you need to put sometimes your personal feelings aside and do what's right for the residents of whatever town or whatever county, whatever municipality you're serving. You need to be objective and be able to reach across the aisle and work with people, which is what I do for a living. And I've gotten real used to being the person, the moderator in the room, the person that can reach across and say, hey, okay, that's your opinion, that's my opinion. Let's find a common ground in the middle which works for everybody. And everybody's not going to do everything they want, but at the end of the day, you compromise a little bit for the best of the community and the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Mr. Perticone, same question for you. You've been on the town council for quite some time, so I know you've experienced issues that have come up that you did not foresee. So can you talk about your principles and your values and how you use those to make decisions regardless of what issues you see come before you?
Well, the first thing you have to do is try to make decisions for all, depending on what it is. Is it a town-wide decision? Is it a small part of Irondequoit's decision? You know what I mean? And that's a big thing. I want to make decisions for everybody the best. You're not going to please everybody, but you're going to have to, it depends on the issue that comes up. But we have some issues, public hearings are a big thing. If it's a small community that's having something built in their area or whatever, you're going to have to, you take on the public hearings, you listen, and you make sure you take that all into account and listen to the people that are living in the neighborhoods. You got to make sure when you make decisions, you make it for all, and not just a few. And I've been the most bipartisan person. I've been the minority on the board and the majority on the board. And we all, like Grant said, you reach over and you talk to people. What do you think? And you make the decision for everyone that's involved, not just a few.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I want to shift gears and I want to talk a bit about specifically, I want to go to affordable housing. So there have been many questions about how can we increase affordable housing in Irondequoit. I want to know number one, what are your thoughts? Number one, should Irondequoit increase the amount of affordable housing in the town? And if so, what can you do in your role to make that happen? And John, let's start with you.
Okay, well, yeah, you want affordable housing, but we all know Irondequoit's 98% built out, right? So where are we talking affordable housing? We have some in the town, like every other town, but if we want to build new affordable housing, we have to find out, what are we going to do? Redevelop? Are we going to, demo something and rebuild? But that's the thing too. You have to take that all into consideration. We do have affordable housing in town. We have new number of places. So you really have to see, we're built out. It's not like we can go anywhere and just build. But I will help out. I'm certainly sure, along with Grant, and we'll see what's in the best interest of the people, where they want to build. There's not many places to build. We'd have to redevelop or find a place for affordable housing. But yeah, that's always on everybody's mind, affordable housing. Yes, I want people to be able to have a place to live that's affordable for them. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ms. Perticone. Mr. Malone, same question for you, two-part question. Should Irondequoit increase the amount of affordable housing it has in the town? And if so, what should the town do to make that happen?
Again, to John's point, and again, there's no question that we should do our best to try to increase the affordable housing for our elderly, or for that matter, single mothers or fathers. And John's right. Irondequoit is built out to the point now where it's going to be a tough decision to decide. Do you knock something down to put something else up? Trust me, that comes at a cost. And nowadays, that's not a cheap cost. But I would definitely support, new ideas and new thought processes to enhance our affordable housing for the community. No doubt about it.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Malone, I'm going to stay with you. So, over the years, Irondequoit has seen a rising property taxes, and Irondequoit has seen a rising property taxes in recent years. How do you plan, if elected, Mr. Malone, to manage the town's budget and keep taxes affordable for residents?
That is the question. I mean, you just hit. That's a question that I'm being asked on a daily basis. And not that I'm as well versed as John about it, but I think that if I'm elected, once I get in the town and I get to find out the exact procedures and the process that is done to decide what those are going to be, if there's any opportunities there, I'll definitely enhance to try to justify what's going on with our taxes. And the other part of the conversation is the taxes are what they are. We've got to survive. The cost of living goes up. Everything goes up. We all know that. But are the taxpayers getting what they deserve for their taxes when it comes to services? But as far as how to control them, I'll be honest with you, that's a tough question that every town is dealing with, not only in Irondequoit, but I will do my best to be involved, get educated, and make a fair decision to keep that under control.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Mr. Perticone, same question for you. Irondequoit's seen a rise in property taxes. What are you going to do if you're reelected to continue to manage the town's budget and to keep taxes affordable for residents in Irondequoit?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, people should realize the amount that the percentage of your tax dollar goes to the town of Irondequoit. It's a small percentage, probably 60% of your dollar goes to the school districts. But right now we're going through a budget. In fact, we're going to finalize it relatively soon. We're going to see the biggest tax decrease this year in the rate in quite some time. And yes, like Grant says, it's very important. We want to keep people. We do not want to overtax people, but we don't want to lose any services too. But you watch your levy and things go up every year, and you have to kind of balance it and make sure you don't tax people out of their houses with Irondequoit, the tax. We want to make sure they stay in their homes and they can afford them and not lose the services and give them the things that they've always liked, because we always want to have good festivals. 4th of July, that's one of our big festivals. Some of the parades that we have our farmers market. We don't want to lose sight of any of that stuff for the community. But yes, taxes are a big thing. But this year, you're going to see one of the biggest decreases in the tax rate in some time in the town of Irondequoit. We're doing our part this year for sure.
Thank you so much, Ms. Perticone. We're going to stay with you for the next question.
Sure.
What steps will you take? To support small businesses in Irondequoit and promote economic growth throughout the town?
Yeah, well, we try to work with the chamber because the Chamber of Commerce is big. They deal with the businesses. We meet with them regularly. Make sure you want to bring people in. Come talk to us. Let us know what your business is, and we'll walk you through it. Yeah, absolutely. There's some vacant places around town. Come on in town, and we'll talk about what you want to bring into town. Sure. And if it's a first time business, I think the town's going to do the best that they can to help them out and make them successful wherever it is in town. Again, we do have some vacancies around, and what kind of business you want to bring in, what do you want to do? But we work with the chamber, and the chamber, we work together and make sure that we bring businesses in, and once they're here, we support them as much as we can.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Mr. Malone, same question for you. What steps will you take to support small businesses in Irondequoit and to promote economic growth in the town?
Yeah, and again, with my background, I again, with what John said, working with the chamber was very important. But also maybe reaching out to some different developers in the area, which I'm exposed to right now on a daily basis, and maybe getting a little interest to come to Irondequoit and show them what we have to offer might help energize economic development. And again, with economic development, we're talking about a workforce development, and that goes hand in hand with putting people to work. So again, to me, that's a twofold question, because you can't have one without the other. But I'm hoping to, if I'm able to, after November 7th, if I'm fortunate, I think I'll be a very strong influence in Irondequoit for economic development and bringing business back to Irondequoit. There's no doubt about it.
Thanks, Mr. Malone. I'm going to stay with you, Mr. Malone, because you touched on my next question. And I think you may have some insight for folks listening in tonight, because you were alluding to that, and I want you to talk about it a little more. What do you think town board members can do to continue to make Irondequoit competitive and a place that people want to live in the coming years? So what innovations do town board members and leadership in the community need to be considering? Sort of what are their blind spots that they're not seeing, that things that the town should be thinking about to continue to make it an innovative and a place that people want to live?
That's quite a question, but I'll tell you, I can't speak for the town board. Obviously, I don't know what their focus is, but again, I think that we need to energize our younger workforce. Okay, we know that there's a workforce shortage out there, not only in the construction industry, but all over industry. So again, let's make choices to give our young people opportunities to get when they get out of school or they go to college, they come back to Irondequoit. Let's try to enhance that opportunity so they come back here and they buy a home and they raise their family here, which means bring the right businesses to Irondequoit that they can afford to support a family. I think that's so important now.
Thanks so much, Mr. Malone. Ms. Perticone, same question to you. What can town board members do to continue to make Irondequoit competitive, a place that people want to live, grow, raise their families? What are some of the things that the town that you want to see the town board and other members focus on that you think are the town's blind spots that they're not focusing on today?
Well, I don't think we have a lot of blind spots. I think, you want people to come to Irondequoit. You want people to, first of all, you want to start out with a good school district. You want to have housing that people, you don't tax them out of the housing. And, it starts with bringing people into Irondequoit. I still hang out with people I went to school with, and most of us still live in Irondequoit. So I've been a lifelong resident, and I think I could set the table for a lot of people. And I think the town board likes to do that. You want to make the housing market, and you want to make the school districts too. You got to work with the school districts. You want to make sure the town's safe and work that. As far as blind spots, I think we try to cover every base we possibly can to bring people to the town of Irondequoit. Absolutely.
Thanks so much, John. I want to go right to schools. Irondequoit schools are vital to our community. So how will you continue to collaborate with the school district to enhance education and opportunities for our local students?
Well, we have a new community center, and we also have a library. So we try to get some after school participation for the students. They're working on that now. They bring classes in. The art club they do have some classes at the library for students. So we try to give them some after school activities and help out. Now we're trying to work with the school district now. They want to do some more after school activities up at our new community center to try to, get the kids involved so they have something to do after school. But we do, and we help out with the safety in the schools too as well. We have our police department in there now. We just signed an MOU with them that the police will be there helping out, just make sure the school districts are safe too for all the students and parents and teachers, for everybody. But we're doing our part between our library and our community center to give students some things to do after school.
Thanks so much, John. Grant, we're going to go over the same question with you. Irondequoit schools are vital to our community. So if you're elected, how will you collaborate with the school district to enhance education and opportunities for our local students?
I think to getting the right people involved would help. After school programs are so vital. What about maybe a few career fairs to get the kids exposed to different things as they go into school? Give them opportunities. What about for the younger families, some after school, whether it's an after school daycare quasi program, so that the kids can stay involved when their parents are still working, but the parents feel safe here in Irondequoit when they are at school. That's a great question. And again, these are things that I will definitely learn as I go and enhance once I'm elected in November.
Thanks so much, Mr. Malone. We're going to stay on. I hope this question isn't controversial. It came in from our audience. So staying on this topic of education and taxes. So, Mr. Malone, do you believe Irondequoit still needs two school districts with two separate administrations? Would you ever think that it's cost effective for the town to combine the school districts into one?
That's a great question.
I just asked the questions, by the way.
That's a great question to put me on the spot there. But, I would have to look at the demographics a little closer of Irondequoit, I think, and see, the enrollments and whether it's gone up or down, let's say with a snapshot of the last 5 to 10 years in Irondequoit, and can you justify one school district? I would definitely be interested in looking at something like that if it was cost effective or if it was effective. Again, at the end of the day, for the quality of the schools, because you don't want to make a move like that and then have the quality of the education go down. So that would be a topic of a lot of conversation and a lot of research before you got to that point. But I would definitely entertain the option if it came up, but we need to do the research first before we make that kind of a decision. There's no doubt about it.
Do you think that both school districts provide, you talked a little bit about, you didn't want to make, you for sure didn't want to make sure that education or education that the school districts basically didn't suffer if this ever was considered. Do you think that both school districts perform at the same level, or do you think that there can be improvement in either district?
Oh, I'm sure there's room for improvement everywhere. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, but again, I'm pretty confident, you know, that the people that I've gotten to know here in Irondequoit, and my wife grew up here and all of her family went to school here. And then I think it's a very comparable and a definite good opportunity for whether it's East or West Irondequoit School District. So again, if the compromise was made, it would be quite a decision to make. But again, I'm going to say it again, before that decision is made, there needs to be some research done on the need of Irondequoit, and can you justify doing that with one school district?
Thank you so much, Grant. John, same question to you. Do you still think the town needs 2 school districts and 2 administrations? Is that a extra cost burden that the town is taking on?
Well, that's $1 million question. You know that, don't you?
I do.
I think, listen, I know that, listen, I came through West Irondequoit School District. It's a great school district, East Irondequoit. My sister, my niece and nephew went to East Irondequoit. The education is second to none. Graduation rates are high. But like Grant said, there'd have to be some kind of a study, and you'd have to get the cooperation from the school districts to cooperate and see if there would be behoove people to look into a study and see if it would be to combine the school districts and make one. Nobody wants to lose or decrease the education. Absolutely not. But that would be something, but you'd have to have the cooperation from the school districts to continue to do that and help out with that. But if it was a savings to the taxpayers, absolutely. I would definitely entertain that. But it's a $1 million question. People have been asking that question forever. But I'm along with Grant, do a study, see what you could do, and see what happens. If there's a cost savings, absolutely. But between both school districts, I don't think one's better than the other. I think they're good education places for our children right now.
Great. Thank you so much, John. Grant, go right ahead. I'll give you 30 seconds.
So one comment I want to just, on John's point, and I believe that if it came down to that discussion, I believe the state education department would have a little bit of say in that too, if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Thank you both. So John, we're going to go back to you for this question. So what do you see as, what should be the relationship between the town of Irondequoit? Can you talk about the town's relationships with county government and with state government and with the federal government? Can you talk about their relationship and how important it is? And if you want to see any improvement with that relationship and how important it is at the county level, the state level, and the federal level.
Well, you talk to the county, you have to Irondequoit. Well, now it's redistricting. We have a few more legislators in the town of Irondequoit, but obviously, we're going to make Grant and I, and if you're on the town board, you're going to make the biggest decisions that are going to affect these people's lives daily. You know what I mean? Once you get higher up in the levels, but no, you got to have relationships with the county government, the state government, federal government, and that helps out a lot, whether it's to help with grants, bring money into Irondequoit. Sometimes it takes you got to reach across the aisle and talk to these folks, but absolutely, you have to do it. But the decisions we make here at this level is going to affect the daily lives of everyone immediately. So we make sure that that's the biggest importance and work with all forms of government to help every resident out going forward. Have a relationship from the legislators to the state to the federal government.
Thanks so much, John. Grant, same question for you. What should that relationship look like with your government partners at the county level, the state level, and the federal level?
There's no doubt, those relationships are key. Again, we all work together here for the best of Irondequoit, but when the time comes and you need a little help, whether it's a funding issue or whatever it might be, I do that on a daily basis here, in my own profession, that, when there's a problem arises, nobody knows everything, but you got to know where to get the answer. So those relationships are huge, whether it's a local, a county, a state, or a federal. So again, that's very important. And I believe as a town board member, you know, to John's point, yeah, we'll make decisions here for the best of the community. But, you know, there may be a time when we need a little help on something that we're not sure of, and have relationships are great to have that opportunity to talk to somebody else or ask for some help. Definitely. It's a team effort, whether it's state, county, or town, or federal, for no doubt.
Thanks so much, Mr. Malone. Next question is gonna focus on John's point about the importance. I think everyone needs to know the importance of local government, how critical it is in people's everyday life. So the challenge is many people don't understand local government and town government and how it specifically shapes the community. So Grant, what would you do to make local government more visible and accessible to the residents of Irondequoit?
You know, that's another outstanding question. I would promote letting people know what is the town here for. We're here to help you. If you've got an issue, don't be afraid to call somebody. Don't be afraid to come to a town board meeting and voice your opinion. You know, we're all residents of Irondequoit. We're all raising our family here. So again, we're all together. So again, I think the openness and the transparency, you know, as far as why we're doing things. Don't be afraid. I enhance people to come in. If you got a question, call me. You know, call whoever it might be, and we'll do the best answer. If you're not sure, we'll get you the answer for you. But again, it's about being open about what the goal is for the town and how we're trying to get there.
I can unmute myself and ask you a question. John, same question for you. What will you do to make local government more visible and accessible to the residents of Irondequoit?
Well, definitely the transparency part is, and people got to know where to go if they have an issue. We do have open houses around. DPW has open houses. The town hall is open. Everybody's there. But I think, you know, people should know where they have to go if they have an issue. You know what I mean? They really have to know what department. DPW, if you have a department, roads, sidewalks, whatever it is, call the DPW, and they should help you out. The building department as well. I get a lot of phone calls. I help residents out. Call a town board member if you don't think you're getting the right answer. You need to go to the right spot. I help people out all the time that call me, and I help them out with whatever the issue is with them. But yes, our police are out there in the community. Open houses help out too, and get to know your people in your government. And like Grant said as well too, you have an issue, come to the town board. Let us know what it is, or reach out to us. People reach out to me all the time, and I try to help them out as much as I can.
Thanks so much, John. We've heard a lot in the past year, a lot of the topics around potentially having a public utility in our community, issues that arise through the city of Rochester, now the Monroe County Legislature. Can you talk about, do you have a position on the campaign for the public here in Monroe County to take over basically the public utility and have a public utility instead of RG&E? Do you have a specific position on that?
Yeah. If we would have to find out if it would be cost effective for people, boy, if it could save money, you know, it's all you hear about is Fairport Electric, right? It's all I hear. Yeah. And, you know, if there was an avenue of us to research this and find out, yes, absolutely. I haven't talked about it much. It's never brought up a real lot, but yeah, if there would be avenues, that'd be something we should start up and take a look at it and see if we could, you know. And again, if it's cost saving for people, RG&E is really getting costly, you know what I mean? So if we could find a way to help residents and if we had a way to do it and how we would do it, I would be all for it. Absolutely.
John, I have another question to ask you. I hope it's not a controversial question.
No.
I just asked the questions. Remember, there's been a lot of talk about who should fund a study. Should it come from the residents? Do you think that the county should fund this study or contribute to a study? Or do you think NYSERDA should be responsible for funding a study of this magnitude?
Well, when it comes to studies, yes, we try to find any avenue we can so it's not going to cost our taxpayers anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, NYSERDA should come up that we'd look around for some grant funding for it. Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to burden the taxpayers any more than you have to. There's probably grants out there that would help us do a study and get into it. We just did a study not too long ago. It's totally different. Doing the bridge down at Seabreeze to put a year-round bridge down there. There was a study there, and Chuck Schumer came in. He paid a grant, but that's what we would have to look for. I don't want to charge the taxpayers for any kind of study we would do, but we would look at any avenue we can.
15 seconds.
Not that we would look for any way we can to get a grant and get some grant funding and not burden the taxpayers of Irondequoit.
Thank you, John. Grant, same question for you. There's been talk about a public utility and a takeover of RG&E and creating a public utility. Do you have specifically a position on creating a public utility? And then additionally, what's your position? And then two, who should bear that call? Should it come from county taxpayers or should it come from NYSERDA? Should NYSERDA fund a study for us to look at this as a community?
As far as my position, I lived in Fairport, so I experienced Fairport Electric. So I have a way to compare. And I will say the cost was less, but I gotta say, service-wise, that's a consideration if you're gonna go that route, to do the research to find out, how it's gonna be run and who's gonna run it, because there is a difference between a private entity, and I'll have to compare it to as RG&E and Fairport Electric. Now, don't get me wrong. RG&E is 4 times the size of Fairport Electric. But again, there was issues out there during a storm under a public or private utility. But I definitely would be interested in looking into something like that and supporting it. If it's a savings to the residents, as long as we don't compromise the service. Who should pay for it?
15 seconds.
John had a great point. We don't want to burden the taxpayers with that. So if you're going to go down that avenue, you better do your homework and make sure you can fund a study before you even get started and get too deep into that situation. So again, would NYSERDA be involved? Possibly. Is there grant funding out there? That's very possible too. With the green energy issue that we're all dealing with, I believe there's got to be some funding out there, whether it's through NYSERDA or other private entity, to help you do a survey. That will be look into that down the road if it comes up again. But I definitely would not be opposed to looking at that option.
Thank you so much, Mr. Malone. I'm going to stay with you for our next question. Irondequoit is known for its waterfronts. It's known for its waterfront. What are your plans to protect and enhance the town's natural resources such as Lake Ontario and the Irondequoit Bay?
That is a great question. That's a resource that I don't think that we've taken full advantage of. When I visited other cities that have waterfront like ours, I would definitely be behind any type of research and possibly some redevelopment of our waterfront, because it's a great opportunity for economic development and for people to enjoy what we have here. Again, we've got a lake and we've got a river here, and I think at some places we've missed the boat on enhancing that for everybody's use, not just Irondequoit.
Thank you so much, Grant. John, same question for you. Irondequoit is known for its waterfront. So what are your plans to protect and enhance the town's natural resources, such as Lake Ontario and Irondequoit Bay?
Well, yeah, people don't realize that, along Lakeshore Boulevard, that's city, the counties in some parts of our areas. So yes, we have to work with our other government partners and make sure that obviously cleanliness is a big thing. Make sure we have enough access for people if they want to boat, fish, whatever they want to do, and try to enhance it as much as you can and make it, make it for families to enjoy. Along the lake now, you go down Lakeshore Boulevard this summer, it's busy. Down at the end of Seabreeze down there, the county has that now, but we partnered up when we had it. We do new parking lots down there. There was restrooms down there. There's a boat launch down there now. So we've done our part. There's a new playground, and we added more parking down there in the Seabreeze area where Don's Original is and down there. So yes, we have to continue to do it. Cleanliness is a big thing, but we have to partner with our other governments too, and work on it and enhance it and make it more better for our people. We do have a lot of people that live along the bay and the lake though that are private, and those are very nice homes, and they keep them up. But yes, the places where people can go in and join, yes, we have to work with our other government entities and help out as well.
Thank you, John. John, I'm gonna stay with you with this next question. Will Irondequoit, specifically the town and its residents, are we going to be able to meet the state targets that became law in the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act in 2019? The act specifically sets the goal to reduce emissions to 40% below the 1990 levels by 2030, and then to 85% below the 1990 levels by 2050. Number one, are we going to meet those targets? And what does the Irondequoit have to do to meet those targets that were set forth in that law in 2019?
Yeah, are you talking about like solar and that type of thing?
Correct.
Yeah, well, we've done solar, and we got solar on our police building right now and our courts. We're going to put solar on our new farmers market. And it's funny you just said that. We just did a study. We just finished a study with a consultant, and we got a list of things that we are going to do in order to keep those goals. And that's one thing, exactly what you're talking about, to make those goals are all met. We know what we have to do now, but we have done some solar. We got some solar on our projects, and we're going to add some more solar. Like I said, we just did a farmer's market. We're going to add solar on the roof over there. So we're doing our part. But yes, we do have goals to meet. And we just brought a consultant through our town, and we're going to go over it short. We did start going over it now to find out where we have to do in order to meet those goals. But we are working at it in order to get to those goals. Absolutely.
Thank you, Grant. Same question for you. The state law in 2019, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act of 2019, set out some ambitious goals to reduce emissions. What does the town government and residents have to do to meet these goals?
I think that John's got me on this one because he knows a little more about what we're doing, but I definitely support, the act, and it's definitely a priority, and I will support, movement towards those goals, whether it's 2030 or 2050. I can say I'm involved in a lot of other green energy projects across the state, so I'm definitely involved in that process, and I would bring that experience to the town board to help them make decisions so we can meet some of those goals, whether it's solar and or wind. Hydrogen is a big question now that's out there. So again, there's other opportunities maybe we can talk about moving forward, but definitely we need to support those goals, and I'm right behind anybody on the town board to bring what I know about that industry to fruition in Irondequoit. Yep.
Thank you, Grant. Grant, I'm gonna stay with you for this next question. We're gonna try to get through two before we end tonight. So what specific plans do you have to address the infrastructure and road maintenance issues in Irondequoit? Grant, I'll start with you.
Okay. Again, that hits home with me. Again, I get a lot of the taxpayers are asking about sidewalks. Okay, that's an issue. When I'm elected, I'll definitely look into that more to find out where the needs are and what the town is currently doing, and I would promote that. Roads and bridges, we all know that not only Irondequoit but the state is below the average standard for that. So I will promote as much as I can getting the right people in here to upgrade our roads and bridges to keep them safe, whether it's repaving in the summer or snow removal in the winter. So again, that hits home for me. I'm going to say it again because that's my expertise right now in what I do. So I think I can bring something to the table there as far as maybe some different options to maybe save some money in that area and how to get it done maybe a little more cost effectively. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. John, same question for you. What specific plans do you have to address infrastructure and road maintenance issues in the town?
Well, we do it every year. We the last couple of years, we have probably paved more roads than we ever have. And this year in the capital improvement project, we're going to do about $400,000 of sidewalks next year. So every year we try to update the roads and we try to do the sidewalks because it's a very main thing. And, you know, there's some roads they haven't got to yet. Eventually they're going to come around. I mean, theoretically, you should do a road every 5 to 7 years, but we oil and stone roads now. And we try to keep the maintenance now is a big thing too. You could, and Grant will tell you this, you could pave a road, but you got to make sure it's maintained as well too. So that's what we're doing. But we have paved more roads in the last 3, 4, 5 years in Irondequoit as ever have. And we're going to do a lot of sidewalk work as well too. And we got some chips to use from the state, depending on, we got grants. We do our
we do our grants and we get dependent on what neighborhoods
15
we can
seconds.
use it on. The lower income neighborhoods, we use that money to do those roads and sidewalks as well too. But that's a mainstay for us right now. Definitely roads and sidewalks. We keep up on it as much as we can.
I'm going to ask the last question of the night. And John, let's start with you. What's your vision for improving public transportation and reducing traffic congestion in the town?
Well, public transportation, obviously, we have buses and I know we got a big bus loop up at the Skyview Mall and all that. But, you have to do as much as you can. There's not a lot of bus traffic, I would say, some in Irondequoit, in the morning with the school buses. But again, you got to get transportation. People need transportation. They're gonna have to take a bus route, or obviously now the Ubers and all that stuff is going on. But I think transportation is always an issue. But I don't think we have as much congestion as maybe other towns do. But we keep an eye on that. The police keep an eye on that, and they let us know what they think. We work collaboratively with the police department and let us know if they think there's a lot of congestion, and try to help out as much as we can with it. But we need the bus routes for us. A lot of seniors take the bus routes, but we have a bus now at the community center that we help out with the seniors, bringing them to and from the community center so they can do the activities up there, so they don't have to drive or anything. We just brought that new bus on not too long ago. So we're doing our part. We're helping out as much as we can.
Thanks so much, John. Grant, last question for you. What is your vision for improving public transportation and reducing any congestion you see in the town of Irondequoit?
Again, I guess I think to John's point, the steps are being made, whether we can work with, whether it's an RTS and try to enhance, if there's a need somewhere else. A perfect example of, the community center. Great job over there as far as moving our people around there. As far as, maybe a local service, is it possible to talk about, to enhance a local service for some of our elderly people to get around? We can have that conversation. But as far as a public entity, you need to work with your local, again, I'm going to mention an RTS and see if it's cost effective to enhance some of those bus routes in Irondequoit as needed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Malone and Mr. Perticone. This has been a really great discussion. I want to thank both of you for joining us. We're going to go over to closing remarks. Please remember, this concludes our Q&A portion of the program. Mr. Malone and Mr. Perticone will have 2 minutes for a closing remarks. So, Mr. Malone, 2 minutes. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity for this interview, and I'm humbled to the opportunity to run for Irondequoit Town Board. I really feel that I would be an asset to the town board with my experience and with the way that I've conducted my life in the past and working with people for any cause, whatever it is. There's no bad cause out there. So again, I'm hoping to be successful, looking for the support. I think John and I are on the same page on a lot of different things, which helps when you get in that room, when you're trying to get something done. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great. We appreciate it. Mr. Perticone, the floor is yours. You have 2 minutes for closing remarks.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I was born and raised in Irondequoit. I call Irondequoit my home, and I've served on the board since 2008, and I really enjoy what I do. And I want to make sure that, I do have construction background too, so that helps out. But I really enjoy being on the town board, and I will continue working for the folks of the Irondequoit, and I will represent all people in this town. And again, my number one priority is public safety, quality of life, and progress in our town. Thank you, and I look forward to continuing to represent the town of Irondequoit.
Thank you both, gentlemen. I'd like to thank the candidates for joining us for a great discussion. We touched on so many topics and issues tonight. We also want to thank all of you, the attendees who joined us this evening. With that, I will now turn it back over to Barbara Gross. Barbara, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you so much, Tyrese. So I'm going to share a slide. We've got some information about elections that we want to share with you. Hold on one moment. Here we go. So, if you have questions about the election, you might want to call the Board of Elections. There's their phone number. You can find it on their website. If you wanted to vote absentee ballot, today was the deadline to apply by mail or fax or through the portal. So if you now have decided you need to vote absentee, you're going to have to go down to the Board of Elections in person to apply for a ballot, or else just wait and early vote. So early voting starts on Saturday and it continues for 9 days. So it goes up till November 5th. There are sites all over Monroe County. You can vote at any one of them that's convenient for you. So that's a great option. If you wait till election day, you're going to have to go to your assigned site. If you need more information about candidates on your ballot or any other details, you can visit vote411.org, which is our online portal with all kinds of voter information. So we'd like to thank you all for attending. This forum has been recorded, and we will be putting a link to it on our website, and we will email that link to everyone who had registered for it. So with that, I am going to thank everyone and say good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.